Bickley and Marotta. Bickley and Marotta mornings. Arizona sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
Torey Lovullo had a rough night on Monday. He had to deal with the residue of a staggering base path mishap. He had to put his own neck on the line by using his B team of relievers in a close game because he knew his offense was having one of those soggy firecracker kind of nights. And then maybe his toughest call of all. Should he bash a home plate umpire for ball and strike butchery that cost his team a ninth inning rally, or should he take one for the team, in this case, the overlords of Major League Baseball? Not surprisingly, Lovullo chose diplomacy because blowing a gasket wasn't going to change a damn thing. Also, it was a rough night because Lovullo knew what was looming today. Another Johnny bullpen game in Game 4 of the World Series, and just like the last time, this bullpen game feels like a must-win for the home team. And if you drill down even deeper like an evil dentist, Lovullo is also having to cover for his general manager, who left the team without a legitimate number 4 starter. And yet their predicament isn't surprising because the Diamondbacks are a flawed team. The flaws are part of their charm. It's the reason the Valley is drawn to this team, because they are not perfect, because they're young and rebellious and rally around the very skepticism they create. That is why they are so compelling, because you never know what you're going to get from this team, because they're generally at their best after showing us their worst. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW. Make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
Yeah, you're trying to get me in trouble. I know. I know the world's watching right now. I mean, I'm not happy about it. I know that if they were off the plate and there were missed calls, they got to tighten it up. Just this is the same as ever. I'd say that to everybody, but I will say this: that the umps are doing their absolute best. Ball's moving at high velocities. It's getting manipulated at home plate. But yeah, there were some calls that didn't go our way today. Was that the difference in the game? I don't know. I don't think so. They took advantage of it. Let's put it that way. If they were missed calls, they took advantage of it and won the baseball game the way they needed to.
That is me turning my mic on. That's Torey Lovullo, the manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks, playing the role of diplomat, being kind to the umpires. Alfonso Marquez, the umpire in question last night, who for most of the game had a very, very small strike zone, wasn't given a lot on the edges. Mm-hmm. So when you do an egregiously outside pitches in big, high-leverage situations, it's going to leave a mark. And I know what Torey Lovullo's doing, and he did say, hey, you're trying to get me in trouble. The umpires did their best. They're always doing their best. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of an old James Ingram song called Just Once from the 80s. There has a line, I did my best, but I guess my best wasn't good enough.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would apply to Alfonso Marquez.
Alfonso Marquez, there's your long-distance dedication.
So there was a lot of juggling that the manager was doing last night. It seemed to be, like I said, everywhere the Diamondbacks turned last night, there were obstacles popping up into their face. After the game, Max Scherzer said he saw from the Rangers what he's seen from the Rangers a whole bunch of times. At times in the season when he's seen his baseball team about to fold over and collapse, and they bounce back and punch the other team in the face. And I thought to myself, he could very well be describing the Diamondbacks. That's exactly what the Diamondbacks have done all season, but there's a fundamental difference between these two teams. And that fundamental difference between these two teams was on display last night. The Rangers have invested big money into a core of players, and those players that were given huge contracts in November of 21, Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, and even John Gray, they all paid off last night. Diamondbacks, that's the missing component from this team. They don't have the financial investment to go along with everything else good they have. Hopefully, that should be coming in this coming offseason. Because, as I said in the blast, when you drill down to this, Torey Lovullo, when he went to the Miguel Castro, Andrew Saul, Frank, Luis Frias, when he went down that path last night, you saw the line he was straddling. He was hedging his bets. He was watching an offense that he has seen before this season that was struggling to get anything going. Their approach might not have been great. They weren't getting the breaks. They weren't, as he likes to say, keeping the line moving. Okay? So with that in mind and knowing a bullpen was lurking, he went to the B team, and it worked. It worked. The B team worked fine from last night, but you can imagine the stress the manager must have been feeling.
Absolutely.
Given the fact that had that B team blown up, Lovullo would have been destroyed by the media.
But offensively, again, your point is valid. This was about the worst version of the Diamondbacks offense.
On the night that they were first favored in this entire postseason.
From the 6th inning on, they struck out 7 times.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Did not need to know that.
It was very reminiscent of the late season. You remember the very stressful 4-game stretch to end the season. Mm-hmm. The last game in Chicago against the White Sox, the 3-game series chase against the Astros. It didn't look like the Diamondbacks would ever score a run again. And that's what it looked like for a good portion of last night. And we've seen this team, even early in the Philadelphia series, struggle offensively in the first 2 games and then got to playing Diamondbacks baseball again. 3 games, that's a pretty long period of time to feel out the opponent. But I think the Diamondbacks should have a good feel now. Mm-hmm. Mentioned it with Alex Weiner when he was on. You can't make mistakes to Corey Seager. He's got 2 hits in this series, both of them incredibly pivotal 2-run home runs on first pitches. But they have the scouting report. He had 11 first pitch home runs in the regular season this year. He gets something there, he's going to hit it over the fence.
Yeah.
You can't make those mistakes. As the Phillies series wore on, the Diamondbacks pitching staff did a much better job of tiptoeing around the dangerous guys at the top of the order, minimizing that damage. I'm real curious to see if they're able to do that. And we haven't even touched on this yet. The Rangers might be without Garcia for some time.
Could be.
He's
got no oblique strain. I would be surprised if he plays tonight because those things, it'll just pop again on him tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Jake McCarthy strained an oblique right before the beginning of the postseason. Mm-hmm. He's still not active.
What's interesting to me is a couple things rattle through my brain here. Part of the reason why people love this baseball team, kind of what I alluded to in the Blast, is this is really one of the more unlikely playoff runs we have ever seen. I think the only thing close to being comparable would have been the Kurt Warner Super Bowl Cardinals. But the Kurt Warner Super Bowl Cardinals, there was still, as much as, and I say this with all due respect to Kurt and Anquan and Fitz and all those guys, but there was a flukiness feel to it that you couldn't miss out on. They won a playoff game because they had an assistant coach find out that Matt Ryan was basically tipping his pitches, signaling when he was throwing passes. They won a second playoff game in Carolina when Jake Delhomme threw 6 picks. They got to play Philly at home because Philly inexplicably upset the Giants on the road. Everything fell down in front of them, and they took advantage. Even though this is one of the more surprising things that we've ever seen, there hasn't been anything fluky about it. This Diamondbacks team gave Clayton Kershaw the worst postseason beating of his career. They went into Philly and won games 6 and 7 in a building where they hadn't lost all postseason. They rebounded from that Game 1 Garcia walk-off home run and the Corey Seager home run in Game 1 with a drubbing of the Rangers in Game 2. So everything they've done has been incredibly legit. And yet they're also capable of these crazy variances because this is who they are as a baseball team. And again, it's their charm and their curse, if you will. Mm-hmm. And we've seen this all playoff long. So the Diamondbacks, they woke up Saturday morning in Texas, and I think we all kind of felt this overarching doom and gloom, like we just blew it. We had Game 1 in our back pocket. We are toast. And they came back with a great effort. Game 3 at Chase Field, the place is going nuts. They're thinking, Rangers lost home field advantage. Advantage us. Yeah. Until it's not.
Well, yesterday, one of the themes of the show was you can't feel like, even though Game 1 was such a heartbreaking gut punch of a loss, you can't come into Game 3 thinking we should be up 2-0. But now it feels like that should be the feeling. Mm-hmm. They squandered an opportunity in Game 1. They had it. They had it right there. Yep. They didn't get it done. Couple of trends continuing, too. Rangers still have not lost on the road in the postseason, 9-0. The Rangers remain undefeated in the postseason when they score first. And Max Scherzer still has never suffered a loss to the Diamondbacks. Now, it was 9-0 But all time in starts against the Diamondbacks, Scherzer starts 12-1. In 2017, he started a game for the Nationals that the D-backs actually won, but he got a no decision. Those are disturbing trends.
Yeah. Yeah. But, and again, so now this is going to be one of those wild games that you just don't know what they're going to look like and how it's going to play out. If both teams are doing bullpen games, it's this. Has this happened in a World Series where two teams simultaneously have done bullpen games?
I don't know. I have to look that up.
This might be a first, Vinny.
Yeah.
This might be the high water or low water mark of the analytical era.